Have you ever pondered how they built the unsinkable Titanic, a marvel of the early 20th century? The creation of the Titanic was a feat of engineering, a symbol of mankind's ability to conquer the seas with technology and luxury. This grand vessel was conceived and brought to life by the illustrious White Star Line and the renowned shipbuilders Harland and Wolff. Their vision was to create a ship that was not just large and reliable, but also the epitome of luxury and elegance. With an impressive length of 882 feet, Titanic was one of the largest ships of its time. It was a floating city equipped with all the modern amenities one could imagine. From grand dining rooms to plush staterooms, everything about the Titanic screamed luxury. It was a testament to human ambition and a symbol of the opulence of the early 20th century. But the Titanic was not just about luxury. It was also a marvel of technology. It boasted advanced features like watertight compartments, a technological innovation of the time designed to keep the ship afloat, even in the face of disaster. These compartments were meant to close if water breached the hull, preventing the ship from sinking. While these compartments were a significant safety feature, they were imperfect, as the bulkheads were not capped at the top. The construction of the Titanic was a massive endeavor, taking thousands of workers and more than 2 years to complete. Every inch of the ship was meticulously crafted, every detail carefully considered. It was a labor of love, a testament to human ingenuity and the spirit of exploration. With its impressive features, Titanic was ready to sail, promising to redefine the standards of sea travel. Little did anyone know the maiden voyage of this unsinkable marvel would be its last, marking a tragic chapter in the annals of maritime history. On the 10th of April 1912, Titanic embarked on her maiden voyage, a journey that was awaited with bated breath. From the bustling port of Southampton, England, the Titanic, a beacon of opulence and grandeur, set sail towards the glittering skyline of New York City. This was not just a voyage, it was a spectacle, a testament to the prowess of human engineering. On board, passengers from diverse walks of life shared a common thread of palpable excitement. The wealthy aristocrats, ensconced in their luxurious suites, reveled in the grandeur that mirrored their opulent lifestyles. Meanwhile, immigrants in steerage, filled with hope and dreams, marveled at the unprecedented luxury even at the ship's lowest levels. The majestic liner, considered unsinkable, was a floating palace. The air was charged with anticipation as the ship cut through the waves, creating a symphony of splashes, a melody that sang of the promises of a new world. From the decks, passengers waved their final goodbyes, their faces glowing with the thrill of the journey that lay ahead. Little did they know, their excitement would soon turn into a horrifying nightmare. "Iceberg right ahead, but was this ominous warning heeded?" As the Titanic traversed the icy waters of the Atlantic, countless iceberg warnings flooded the wireless. Sent from nearby ships, they painted a dangerous picture of the path ahead. Yet, these warnings fell on deaf ears. The wireless operators, preoccupied with transmitting personal messages of the ship's wealthy passengers, saw these alerts as mere interruptions. The ship was unsinkable after all. Its watertight compartments were considered an infallible safety feature, despite the bulkheads being uncapped at the top. Moreover, the ship's leadership, eager to make a swift Atlantic crossing, maintained a high speed despite the looming threats. Complacency, pride, and a misplaced faith in technology clouded better judgment. For the crew of the Titanic, the iceberg warnings were not a call for caution, but noise to be ignored. As the final warning was dismissed, the ship continued its course, oblivious of the danger that lurked ahead. In the midst of the Atlantic, Titanic was sailing towards its doom. The evening of April 14th, 1912, a night that would etch itself in history for all the wrong reasons. As the Titanic glided through the icy waters of the North Atlantic, it was a picture of serene majesty. But beneath this calm exterior, danger lurked. The ship was on a collision course with an iceberg, a massive frozen monolith that would seal the fate of this unsinkable vessel. The moment of impact was sudden and catastrophic. The iceberg's jagged edges tore through the ship's hull, breaching at least 5 of its watertight compartments. The mighty Titanic was wounded and the North Atlantic began to pour in, cold and relentless. The Titanic's design, which was once its pride, now became its downfall. The ship was built with 16 watertight compartments intended to keep it afloat in the event of a breach. But a critical flaw in the design meant that the bulkheads of these compartments were not capped at the top. This allowed water to spill from one compartment to the next, like a cascading waterfall, as the ship began to list. The crew and passengers were initially unaware of the severity of the situation, but as the ship began to tilt, panic started to spread. The unsinkable Titanic, a symbol of human ambition and technological prowess, was in fact sinking. The Titanic's collision with the iceberg was more than just a physical impact. It was an event that shattered the illusion of invincibility. It was a harsh reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human constructs. As the realization set in, so did a sense of impending doom. The Titanic, once the epitome of luxury and safety, was now a death trap. The unsinkable Titanic was sinking. In less than 3 hours, the Titanic succumbed to the icy waters of the Atlantic. The colossal ship, once considered unsinkable, began its descent into the depths, a chilling testament to the hubris of mankind. The impact with the iceberg had breached 5 of the ship's compartments, and the water was unrelenting in its invasion. As the ship tilted, the chaos on board was palpable. Passengers scrambled in the darkness, their terror echoing through the corridors. The ship's orchestra, in a defiant act of bravery, continued to play, their melodies serving as a haunting soundtrack to the unfolding tragedy. Desperate attempts were made for survival. Lifeboats were lowered, but alas, there were not nearly enough. The Titanic had been equipped with lifeboats to accommodate just over half of her total capacity. A grave miscalculation born out of a misplaced confidence in the ship's invincibility. Women and children were prioritized, their cries piercing the night. But many lifeboats were launched partially filled, a grim testament to the panic and disorganization that prevailed. The icy waters of the Atlantic were unforgiving, and those left on board were faced with a stark reality. The ship was sinking, and there was no rescue in sight. Among the approximately 2,200 passengers and crew, it is believed around 1,500 lives were lost that fateful night. These were mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and lovers. They were people from all walks of life, each with their own stories, dreams, and hopes. As the stern of the ship rose and then disappeared into the ocean, the Titanic's lights flickered one last time before being extinguished by the crushing pressure of the sea. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the lapping waves and the cries of those left floating in the freezing water. The sea had claimed the Titanic, and with it, countless stories were lost forever. Titanic, once a symbol of human ingenuity, now lay at the bottom of the Atlantic, a grim reminder of our hubris. For more than 7 decades, her wreckage eluded searchers, her final resting place a mystery that only the deep ocean knew. But in 1985, the riddle was solved. The ship, broken in 2 main parts, the bow and the stern, was found. A once unsinkable marvel, now a haunting monument to the 1,500 lives lost. The discovery of the Titanic sparked a renewed fascination with her story. The world was captivated once again, this time by the eerie images of the ship's ghostly remains. The opulent grandeur of the Titanic was now replaced by rusted iron and encrusted sea life. Yet in this state of decay, she still held a certain majesty, a silent testimony to the human ambition that birthed her. But the Titanic's legacy is far more than a tragic tale. The sinking of the ship led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. First and foremost, the disaster highlighted the dire need for sufficient lifeboats on board. The Titanic, despite being one of the largest ships of her time, carried lifeboats for only a fraction of her passengers. This grave oversight was corrected in subsequent ship designs, ensuring that every passenger would have a place in a lifeboat should disaster strike. Additionally, the Titanic tragedy led to the establishment of the International Ice Patrol. This organization, even today, monitors iceberg danger in the North Atlantic and provides iceberg warnings to ships, a timely reminder of the iceberg warnings that went unheeded on the Titanic's fateful voyage. The Titanic, a ship that set sail with dreams and aspirations, now rests in the depths of the ocean, a lasting testament to the human spirit and its tragic frailty.